Hi, I'm Glenn Everitt.
Living the dream! Woo! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about!
Master of machines.
You can't breathe, you're hot, you've got sweat running down your face, you can't see the handle to open it up, and then outside is a time bomb just in front of you waiting to go off, so you've got to get out of there. That's probably the feeling I had when I first sat in this thing. I thought, no!
Ever since I was a young boy, I had a dream. That dream was to drive a nitro-burning funny car. Well, on this episode, it's about to become reality.
We're at the Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Cars headquarters. So let's have a talk to well-known drag racer Graeme Cowin about what's going on. So Graeme, tell me about your passion for drag racing. Where did it all start for you?
It probably started when I was a kid. I was interested in things with wheels on them and got interested in hot rods and bought the hot rod magazines when I was really young, and that's when the passion started, and it's still here right now.
Now, obviously you're very well known for funny cars back in the day, but there was a lot of excitement also with Psycho 3, was that correct?
Psycho 3 was a fuel altered. We had 1973, 74. It was actually the car that we sold to Start Rocket Industries because that's all we had at the time. But as you know, we've repopped that car and brought it back because it is a pretty famous car and got a lot of history and heritage in our sport. This is a pretty awesome piece of machine actually.
Now Graeme, I hear you've got an event coming up in November, a very, very exciting event, a spectacle like no one's ever seen before in drag racing. Tell us a bit about that event.
We're bringing back the excitement, bringing back the show, the entertainment, the reliability, and try and put on a show that's good for families. Up to 14 funny cars. Should be an awesome show for everybody, so hope it works. If it does, we'll continue on there and we'll take the show around Australia.
The Australian drag racing scene and the general public have been waiting for an event like this for a long, long time now, and it's great to see those nitro-burning funny cars back. They're wild, they're fast, they're violent. There's nothing quite like them, is there?
No, there's not. They've got a special flavour about them. They've got the smell, the nitromethane, the noise, the fire, the smoke, the action, the sideways action, and they're pretty wild cars. Like I said, it's all about the entertainment. I think it's time that the general public are aware of what our sport really has to offer. Well, Glenn, we're going to invite you to try and license in one of these cars so you can experience firsthand yourself what the feeling is and the instant speed, the noise, the intimidating side of the car, and so you know for yourself that when you see these cars race, you know what the drivers are actually in for. These cars will run around about 5.8 second bracket in the 400 metre set from a standing start and over 400 kilometres an hour, so they'll get your attention pretty good.
Well, I'll be honest, it almost seems surreal. I can't believe I'm going to be driving one of these Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Cars. Can't believe it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I feel so privileged. It's the sort of thing that people dream about. I really don't know what to expect. I've watched these things, I've been next to the racetrack while they've been blasting past, and even then it's almost like another world. It's like you've been struck by some sort of massive earthquake. The ground shakes, the noise is just out of this world. They just blow your socks off. They're a violent, angry and very powerful piece of machinery. You've got to remember these things are insanely fast. 4,000 horsepower. The things do 200 mile per hour at half track. I've never driven any such thing before. I've gone drag racing, I've run a 9-second quarter, I've driven and tuned cars with 1,000 horsepower, but that is nothing compared to this. It's a whole new world. These things are capable of 400 kilometres top speed over the quarter mile. That's a very short distance, 400 metres. These cars are different. There's no foot brake, there's a handbrake. The accelerator feels very awkward. The clutch on them has a very, very small amount of travel, about 3/8 of an inch. It doesn't even feel like it's operating at all. One thing I've noticed is they're very tight inside, they're very cramped. There's not a lot of room. Your feet are almost jammed in there beside that transmission. A little small steering wheel. They're a little bit daunting, to be honest with you. When you sit in these things, they're very claustrophobic too. So it's going to be a hell of an experience. This is going to be a wild ride. I don't know what to expect. I don't know whether to feel nervous. I don't know whether to feel excited. Either way, I'm going to do it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and I have to grab it. Any heroics in these cars are surely going to end in tears, so I'll be following instructions to a T. I'll be listening to Shane Olive, my mentor, my instructor, and doing everything he tells me to.
We've got Glenn up here this weekend. He's about to experience what it's like to step on the gas with 4,000 horsepower underneath his right foot. He's going to be taught how to drive an Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Car. We'll run through with Glenn this weekend the procedure in the car, what he needs to have on at certain times, how he needs to approach the burnout, how he needs to approach going into stage. There's different fuel levers, there's taking your foot off the clutch, there's holding all that weight of that car and that force of that car on the handbrake. Once the burnout process is out of the way, it'll be the run. That's where it'll get exciting.
Learning how to drive a Nitro Funny Car is no joke, and you'll see why after the break.
So first thing you've got to get familiar with, handbrake, fuel levers, safety ignition switch, reverse lever. You got your clutch pedal down here and your gas pedal over there.
I believe that any application of the throttle, unless you're actually getting motivated, it is a bit of a dangerous situation.
The only time you're on the gas pedal is in the burnout and when you leave the start line on a run. That's the only time you use that throttle.
And what would happen if you use the throttle, even free revving the engine? Would it expire?
It's very dangerous. You're obviously going to hurt the engine and probably hurt someone around the car. So vital that you don't touch that accelerator unless it's in a burnout or on a run.
And it's quite different having a handbrake. There's no foot brake at all, so that's going to take a bit of getting used to, obviously. How do you find that? I mean, obviously the brake's not used to slow the car down from great speed. The parachute's supposed to do that job, but either way, I suppose you've got to stage and stop the car in other applications.
You do need that handbrake. Obviously there's no room for a foot brake, but you will obviously use that a lot and use the clutch pedal a lot. It'll be just like you're driving a normal manual car. Okay, when we first start the car up and we're in the staging lanes, this fuel pump lever will already be on. You grab the brake, always hold the brake, always have your foot on the clutch. The guys up front will be starting the engine. They'll make sure that you're okay. Once the engine starts, make sure there's oil pressure. We'll muck around with idle, make sure everything here's right with the engine. The guys will put the body down and you'll be ready for a burnout. Once the burnout procedure starts, the body's down, someone will tell you to roll through the water. So you've got your hand off the brake and ride the clutch. On and off until you go through the water. Someone will be just past the water to tell you to do the burnout. Once you see that arm come down, foot off the clutch and stab the accelerator pedal. You'll see it'll hit the throttle stop. That's how much movement you got for a burnout.
So the throttle's limited during the burnout to save the engine?
Yes.
Yep.
The burnout will go for roughly 3 seconds. Count to yourself, 1, 2, 3, off. When you get off the gas, foot back on the clutch, slow the car down. Once the car's stopped, reverse lever, straight up. Then obviously just reverse back, you'll have a guy in front of you and a guy behind you guiding you back into your rubber marks. It's vital that you're in those rubber marks. Once you come back after the burnout, we'll tell you to stop, reverse lever back down into forward gear. After that, we'll bring you into pre-stage. That's the first stage light on the Christmas tree. So what we'll do is we'll bring you in a foot away from that light. You've got 3 things to do. Visor down, second fuel pump lever on, grab a handful of brake really tight and take your foot all the way off the clutch pedal, put it on the floor. From there you can bump that second stage light in. Once you bump that second stage light in, you hold the brake nice and tight. As soon as you see that flash of amber, nail the throttle and hold on.
This lever here, what's that for?
That's a fire bottle lever. Fingers crossed you won't need it. Ever in case of a fire, that gets pulled straight away. There's little outlets throughout the whole chassis here that will spray foam throughout the car to put the fire out.
So basically, if there is an accident, and then let's hope there won't be, but you pull that lever on and then unbuckle and get the hell out of Dodge.
Make sure the car's stopped before you get out.
Or the hell out of Hemi.
Yeah, the hell out of Hemi, yes, and get straight out.
So I'd imagine everything happens so fast, so you wouldn't really have a great deal of time to think about it. You'd have to react pretty quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. You gotta have your wits about you.
Mate, well, it sounds good. I think for me, the next thing now would be just to go through all these processes again and again until it becomes second nature.
With this, and You'll be right.
Because I reckon when this baby's pulling up on the line, I reckon there's going to be a lot of things going through my head, so it's going to be important just to drum it into me, I suppose, exactly what has to be done.
Exactly.
There's no room for error, really, is
There
there?
isn't, not with these things. They can be dangerous. They're not toys.
Yep, well, I reckon unless you risk life occasionally, you're really not living it to the fullest, so we're about to find out, aren't we? Well, it's day 2 and we've hit the racetrack. I've got to say I feel quite excited and very privileged. I've got the entire Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Car race team here just to support me. And I'll be driving this 1973 Ford Mustang. It's called Let's Boogie and it's one of my favourites. We went through a lot of work yesterday at the race shop to go through all of the processes so that I know what I have to do just to get up to the start line and then race the car. So there's a lot of work to do and a lot to think about. So let's move on to the next process and get this show on the road. Yeah, it's not a nice place to be. My immediate feeling, it's very condensed and very hot. Every breath of air I'm taking at the moment feels like 100 degrees just on this hot day. Got the balaclava and everything. So it's certainly not a comfortable sort of scenario. Now I know what these drivers go through. This ain't no walk in the park driving these things, I can tell you. Just from this perspective, and I haven't even got to the track yet. Like at the moment, like I'm just sweating like you wouldn't believe. I've got sweat dripping down my face. It's I'll try and obviously I need to become comfortable and feel at home in the car.
Yeah.
If I was thrown in this car like this before it like virtually lined up to go on the strip, I'd be in a state of panic.
Yeah, so you've got to get that out of your head.
I need to get that out of my head, and I need to feel like I'm at home.
Yep.
I need to feel like I can get out of home real quick if I need to as well.
And you will be able to. It'll be fine.
And then I think I'll be familiar and ready for action.
Yep.
Mate, I tell you what, I give credit where it's due. You do an amazing job.
She'll be right.
This is no this is no billy cart.
No, definitely not.
Think of yourself being locked in a cupboard, a very tight cupboard, really tight. You can barely even move. Your hands are tied behind your back and your feet are tied up. There's also a heater inside that cupboard and it's at around about 60 degrees Celsius. You can't breathe, you're hot, you've got sweat running down your face, you can't see the handle to open it up, and then outside is a time bomb just in front of you waiting to go off, so you've got to get out of there. That's probably the feeling I had when I first sat in this thing. I thought, no! I'm used to driving cars where you've got comfort and full control. This is going to be a totally different kettle of fish. So we're going to do a warm-up now. I'm
I'm not going to worry about trying to run some killer reaction time.
No, don't worry about the reaction time.
No, just when the second light's staged and it goes green, I'm going to think about it for a split second, and then I'm just basically going to nail it.
Yep.
Gone. Hold it, hold it, hold it, back off.
The 330 mark?
Yep.
Punch that gear.
Yeah, if it's feeling good,
Yeah, if it's feeling
just
good.
punch it.
Man. Woo! Yeah! That was awesome! Thanks, fellas, you did great. How's that alright? Awesome. The first one. Thank you very much. Wow!
How am I going to explain it? How's another world sound? How's a space shuttle sound?
Yes!
Now I know why Graeme Cowin is so damn addicted to this sport. What a ride, what a rush. Once you get out there on that start line, the nerves tend to go and you just got to worry about getting that thing down the track, and wow, does this thing launch. It just hooks up and it goes. It rattles, it shakes, it bangs. It's a horrifying feeling, but just euphoria. Love it.
Woo! Yeah! Funny car action, that's what we want!